Now, when we think about the differences of deduplication within the original storage architecture and the express storage architecture, there are some significant changes. And the reason is that when we look at the original storage architecture, that was really built around the design of that architecture itself. The fact that there were multiple tiers, a caching tier and a capacity tier, and things like a disk group and so forth. So it was really designed under that construct. Well, in VCF and ESA, we don't have either one of those. For example, it's a single tier, and you don't have this notion of a disk group and so forth. So we needed to sort of adapt it in a way that you could take advantage of the full capabilities of that hardware. And that's exactly what we did. So, for example, we have a deduplication domain of the entire cluster itself. So that means we can look for the potential of duplicate blocks across any data that is stored across the entire cluster itself. It's very different than what we had in the original storage architecture that just looked at the disk group. The second part is that that used to be a cluster-based feature within the original storage architecture. In ESA, we can enable that via storage policy. So if you have certain, let's say, security requirements or something else that lends to the idea that you don't want something deduplicated, you can do that just on a storage policy level. So that's another aspect that, where it unlocks our abilities to do new and interesting things. But one of the key parts that we wanted to make sure with this implementation of dedupe is that we wanted to make sure that the performance of the VMs weren't going to be factored in here when you're trying to improve the space efficiency. So we have this really interesting sort of post-processing mechanism that we use within deduplication for ESA. And what we do is we're just going to be adaptively throttling the amount of processes that are used, and so that we can increase the deduplication activity during quiet times in the vSAN cluster versus, maybe the workloads of the day that are demanding a lot of resources. And this occurs all the time, so you don't have to monitor it, you don't have to tune it or anything like that. It really makes it much more of a set it and forget it sort of feature.